Hi, am I on YouTube?
Hey, you want to be on YouTube?
Hello.
Say hi.
Hi.
I cannot believe I bought an Apple Watch. I blame you guys. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave from Chase Summit, and today we're going to be taking a close look at the Apple Watch SE. The Apple Watch SE launched about a week ago alongside its bigger brother in the Apple Watch Series 6. The Apple Watch SE has a lot in common with the Series 6, but it comes in at a much lower price point, starting at just $279. There are so many versions of this watch, it's not even funny, so I can't tell you exactly how much they all cost, but if you go on the Apple website, you can cycle through different band materials and case materials and lenses and blah blah blah, so you'll have to go check it out for yourself. This one in particular is kind of the base model. It's just all black, it's got the silicone band, and it's the 44mm form factor, so this one costs $309.99. This is not going to be your typical Apple Watch video. I have no interest in reading the specs or diving through the menus with you. I really want to focus on one thing. Can I use the Apple Watch SE as a running watch and a fitness tracker? I run between 50 and 60 miles a week, and I participate in ultra marathons up to 100 miles in distance, and I'm really curious if an Apple Watch can cut it in this type of environment, because they have progressed from what they used to be, and a lot of people seem to be using them. If you're new to my channel, I typically review fitness and running technology. I go pretty in depth on these subjects, and I'm really passionate about them. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss more videos from me in the future, and consider hitting that thumbs up if you found this to be a helpful video. I really appreciate it. The Apple Watch SE looks a lot like all of the Apple Watches. It's got this square shape to it with rounded corners, and it's got that single digital knob up in the corner here. It's also got a single button right below that. The Apple Retina display that they used on the Apple Watch SE and Series 6 is absolutely beautiful. You can see this display in bright sunlight without a problem. I was out running with it in direct sunlight, and I could read my mileage without an issue. It's really great. I usually have complaints about these types of displays, but Apple has done it right. The downside to the Apple Watch SE is that it doesn't have an always-on display. You have to step up to the Series 6 to get that always-on display option, but the gesture-based backlight on this thing is actually really good. It's the best I've ever tried. Every time you lift your wrist, it will turn on very quickly, so it's not that big of an issue. Like I said before, I did purchase the 44mm form factor, and to me, it feels really small and comfortable, but I am used to wearing very large watches like the Garmin Fenix 6, the Forerunner 945, and it's just very comfortable in general, and it's because these edges are so rounded, there's no sharp corners or anything. It was well designed and very ergonomic to be sitting on your wrist. And just in general, this thing feels really good. You can tell it's an Apple product, obviously. The seams between the glass and the aluminum are very hard to see. Everything is just so smooth. It's got a good heft to it. It feels quite premium. And of course, the display of the watch is touch enabled, and you can swipe around and do whatever you want. It is super responsive and reactive. There is zero delay in anything. It's a well thought out operating system. So basically, you've got this kind of grid view of all of your apps laid out in space, and you can just kind of swipe around to view all of your installed apps at a given moment. By default, for running in particular, the Apple Watch comes pre-installed with a workout app, so you can click into this, and from here you can choose what activity you want to do. There's a whole bunch of pre-installed activities, from outdoor walking to indoor running, stair stepper, yoga, you get the idea. There's a lot of pre-installed activities. So basically, I can say I want to go for an outdoor run, so I'll open the running app, and I'll click outdoor run. It counts down, and it just starts your run right off the bat. You don't get to choose when you want to start. It basically just starts going. So here's what the data page looks like during a run activity in the default workout app. And as you can see, it's just not that feature rich, okay? So basically you've got your elapsed time, you've got your rolling mile time, you've got your average mile time, and then you've got your elevation. So you've got your water lock, you've got end, and you've got resume, and that's literally it. There's no other features in this app, which is kind of a bummer. Here you can see the Garmin Forerunner 745 on the left and the Apple Watch SE on the right here, and both of them are in run mode. So if we look at the Garmin here, you can see we've got 6 data fields. We've got distance, elapsed time, average pace, total ascent, battery life, and we've got my heart rate at the bottom there. I can actually go into these data screens and fully customize them. I can add and remove data fields as I please. So I can say data fields, and I can cycle through them, and I can pick which one I want to switch for different data fields. There's so much customization available on a Garmin Forerunner device that's just not there on the Apple Watch when it comes to running specific activity. Now, before your run, you can set up goals. So if you want it to burn a certain amount of calories, distance, or you want to go for a certain amount of time, you can pre-configure that to hit that goal, which is kind of interesting. But that's where the benefit of the iOS ecosystem comes into play. I can go onto the Apple App Store and I can download different running apps that I want to use that are more customizable. For instance, there is a dedicated Strava app that you can download, and you can sync directly from the watch to Strava without having to go through your phone, which is kind of cool. And there's also the benefit of the dedicated Stride app for the Stride running pod to get your running power metric. So I'm still on the hunt for the perfect running app for the Apple Watch. If you know of any, make sure you comment down below and let me know. I gotta download it and try it out. One big problem with the stock running app is there's no way to export your data out of there. So if you want to sync with a third-party service like Training Peaks or anything, basically anything but Strava, you've got to find another way to do it. Fortunately, I have found an app called HealthFit, and I'll link that down in the description below, that actually will let you export your data in great detail. And as you can see here, here's a run from yesterday, 7.42 miles, and my heart rate data, which is really nice. There's a nice graph there. All of my metrics, my pace, my stride length, running dynamics, which is interesting, your elevation, your heart rate, recovery, training load, and heart rate zones. And this is all built into this HealthFit app. It has nothing to do with the Apple Watch itself. So I will say, if you're interested in buying an Apple Watch, particularly for running, it's worth investing in this HealthFit application separately. It is $3.99, which is a huge investment on top of your $300 watch, right? The Apple Watch SE comes in two versions. You can get it with GPS only, or you can get it with GPS plus cellular. So basically, you don't need to carry your phone with you. You can stream music right from the watch through Spotify or iTunes or whatever. You can also make phone calls, respond to text messages, Facebook messages, whatever, right on the watch without having your phone on you, which is pretty cool and could be valuable for runners. Unfortunately, the cellular version does take a hit in battery life though. In terms of battery life on the Apple Watch SE, Apple claims up to 18 hours in standby mode as just being an everyday smartwatch, and up to 7 hours in GPS on time while you're running or cycling or whatever. Now, if you do have that cellular version, you're going to lose an hour of GPS on time. To an Apple user, these battery specs might sound really exciting because previous Apple Watches were pretty bad in the battery life department. However, being a Garmin owner, I only charge my watch like every week. That's it if you're a runner and you only run up to marathon distances at a time. The Apple Watch SE should get you by. If you're an everyday runner or you run like 3 to 5 times a week, you got to keep in mind that you're going to be charging your Apple Watch basically daily. On the upside, the Apple Watch SE can charge back to 100% within about 2 hours. But if you are a runner interested in the Apple Watch SE, that's going to be a huge deal to you. If you value battery life or you're coming from a Garmin device, it's going to be a pretty big system shock to be charging your watch daily instead of like weekly. All right, that's enough yammering here in the studio. I want to get outside and go for a run, so I'm going to take all of these devices. We're going to go out in the woods and we're going to collect a whole bunch of data to check out after the fact. I've got the brand new Apple Watch SE. I've got it up against my Garmin Forerunner 745 and also the 945, which I have in my vest here. I've got the Garmin 945 paired to the Garmin HRM Pro chest strap for really accurate heart rate data and running power and all that stuff. So we're going to compare how can the Apple Watch SE hold up against dedicated sports fitness watches for running, particularly trail running. We're in some pretty heavy tree cover today, so let's get to it. So in this data set, we're looking at the Garmin Forerunner 945 in red, and that is paired to the Garmin HRM Pro chest strap, like I just said. The Apple Watch SE is in green, and the Garmin Forerunner 745 is in purple. And again, the Garmin Forerunner 745 is a wrist-based heart rate sensor. So theoretically speaking, the Garmin 945 should be showing the most accurate data here because it was paired to that HRM Pro chest strap. Let's take a closer look at some of this data. I'll zoom into a segment down here. You can see they're all doing a pretty good job here. The Apple Watch SE seems to be a little bit high in areas and a little bit low in other areas. It definitely has the most variation compared to the other two devices I'm comparing here. Now, if I zoom into this area here, there are some variations. The Apple Watch SE seems to go a little high in areas where the other two devices are lower. And because the other two devices are so close to each other's numbers, I got to assume that's the right number because there's two proving it out versus the one fun in the Apple Watch, but who knows? Your mileage might vary. We're looking at a 7-mile trail run that was under trees, and it was a cloudy day, so it wasn't the best day for GPS accuracy, so keep that in mind while we're looking at this. We've got the Garmin 945 in orange, we've got the Garmin 745 in blue, and then the Apple Watch SE is in red. Also keep in mind that I actually had the Garmin 945 in the back of my backpack because it was connected to the chest heart rate strap for heart rate data. So that GPS track is probably going to be the worst of the bunch here. At first glance, they all look pretty good, and surprisingly, I gotta say, I think the Apple Watch is doing the best of the bunch in terms of GPS accuracy, and that is not what I expected here. Even zooming in on this road section here, you can see that the Apple Watch is keeping a nice straight contour while the other two watches are jerking around a little bit. I mean, that's not totally uncommon. The two Garmins are doing a decent job here, but the Apple Watch is actually doing a really good job here. Another thing I want to talk about with the Apple Watch SE is the amount of data you're actually collecting while you're running. For instance, you can see here from my Garmin's, I've got grade adjusted pace, stance, you've got cadence, you've got pace, you've got temperature, step length. There's a whole bunch of data here that you can look at. You can crunch numbers if it matters to you. But when you look at the Apple Watch SE, you've got heart rate, speed, pace, and altitude, and that's about it. So keep that in mind if you're the type of nerd like me that likes to look at your ground contact time or your running power. You're not going to get that from the Apple Watch without some other accessories or application. All right, so what's my take on the Apple Watch SE as a fitness and running oriented device? Well, I think it's pretty good for the right person. It's not right for everybody. I think if you're a runner first and you want a smartwatch second, something like a Garmin Forerunner 245, 745, 945 will suit you better than an Apple Watch. It's got a lot more features specific to running and training. It's a much simpler interface when you are running, and it feels more reliable and robust in a sense that you can get your fit files right off the device using a USB cable. You can sync courses to it that you made in a GPX file. It does a lot more for that kind of application. But if you are somebody who is in the market for a smartwatch first and you're also a runner, I think that the Apple Watch can suit your needs in the right situation. You are going to be limited by that battery life and needing to charge daily, and by the amount of data that the watch actually collects while you're running. There's not a whole lot you can dig through there. But like I said before, you can install third-party applications, and there's millions of them on the App Store, to get more usability in a running kind of environment. But as an everyday smartwatch, the Apple Watch is really awesome. It's great to use for work, for family stuff, to reply to text messages. You can actually answer phone calls on it and decline them. It does a whole bunch of stuff for your daily life, but in terms of like being a running watch first, I'd still go for a Garmin, a Coros, a Polar, one of those devices, because they are more built for that purpose. I'm curious, do you have an Apple Watch for running? What apps do you use? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please give me a thumbs up down below. And if you like this sort of video and you're a nerd like me, consider hitting that subscribe button down below so you don't miss more content from me in the future. All right, I think I'm done. I'll see you next time.